this episode of Grassroots Garage, we have another feature of Grassroots Garage favourite and all-round nice guy, Denny aka Towie. If that handsome gentleman looks familiar, it's because we've featured his weapon of an F6X on the show once before.
Yeah, Danny!
And if you're still sure you've seen him somewhere else, it's probably from his appearance in the Serious Performance DVD series in his 13V powered Sigma Towie.
It went up to 250 degrees. I still got to drive it home all the way to Windsor, so I can't wreck it too much.
We've needed Denny's services too many times on Grassroots Garage, but when it came time to call in another massive favour, Denny was more than happy to oblige. The Sydney Motorsport Park required a flatbed on site for Todd Nats. Denny stepped in and sponsored the day, tying up one of his trucks and a driver all day, which we really appreciate. And turns out it was a good thing that Towie was on site, because Sir Dat got flogged all day, and to be on the safe side, we decided to flatbed it to Unigroup Engineering for its dyno appointment. But more on that later.
But right now, let's watch Danny take this F6X down the quarter mile for an easy 11.4. Rumour is he's going back soon. You can guarantee we'll be there to check it out. Massive thanks again to Danny. We really could not have made this event happen without him. And all those times we've called on him when we've needed him, he's always been there for us. So if you're ever needing a tow, you're in Western Sydney, make sure you call Towie. And for those that missed the story behind Danny's F6X, we'll put the original episode here to add a little backstory. It's the last of the F6X's.
On this episode of Grassroots Garage, we sit down with Denny, aka Towie. We chat about what happened to that epic Sigma from 2001.
Yeah, walked away from it, and off it went.
Gone. Okay. Never to be seen again?
No, not even a bolt.
And check out his current ride, FPV's last ever F6X.
If this face looks familiar, it's probably from his appearances on a very, what would you call it, culturally significant video series, VHS series in the 90s, driving a black Sigma named Towie, and it's Danny. Danny, thanks for your time, man.
Thank you.
Now, we don't have a Sigma today. Tell us about your car.
Yeah, this is a 2009 FPV built F6X.
This was originally owned by Ford. They kept it.
FPV kept it. It was the last one they built of this this model. They were going to carry it on, but yeah, they were too expensive. I think on the road they were 90 grand, which is a lot of money for a territory. That's people just sort of a turbo territory just with some bolt-ons. So it sort of stopped at the end of the line, and it stayed at FPV in their showroom for about a year. when FPV sort of knew they were going to stop doing the cars, it went on the FPV auction, and Sinclair Ford bid on it because it's a 229 of 229. That's all they built. So, and John Cooper had it for about probably a year, I guess. His wife drove it around, and yeah, then I bought it.
From a normal Territory, what had they upgraded? Basically everything.
Yeah, it's an F6 motor, turbo, gearbox, Brembo brakes, total different interior. I'll forget something. I think the exhaust was a bit different. Suspension. This is R-spec, so that was a bit different again. Yeah, probably a couple other things that I've forgotten, but
yeah, very nice. So what made you buy a Territory?
I always liked them. In actual fact, I had an XR8 just after my son was born, and I liked it. It was blueprint, but it was manual, so my wife didn't really like it, and we had a problem with it. It had axle bounce, not from her driving, me driving, and Sinclair Ford gave us a Territory as a loan car. I told the boys just as a joke, like, the missus loves the loan car, she's not bothered at all. Just so happened a guy come in and liked the XR8. It was lowered, manual, it was rare, being manual, and they rang up and said, like, if you're serious, we can get what you paid for it, because it was a used car, and we'll look after you on a new Territory. So I bought a Gia. Had that for a couple of years, and when these come out, I just loved them. I saw them at the motor show before they were released, and it was build number P001. I just loved it. To me, I just really, really liked it. When they come out, they were 85 to 90 grand on the road, so I thought, well, I'll never have one. And then, a couple of years later, the sequence, how I said that Sinclair bought it, got a little bit better in my price range, and that was it.
Gauges factory?
Yeah, but they're not working. I disconnected them to hook it up to the boost controller.
Got
to get round to do it again.
See, there it is. Yeah, got the boost controller now. Yeah. So what boost we running?
I think it's about 20.
About 20?
Yeah.
That's pretty good. What are they throwing through some of these now, though?
Oh, yeah, it's crazy. That one down there was on 45 pounds.
Gosh.
And it was a standard bottom end, just done the head work.
Who did the work on this?
BTA.
BTA, okay.
Yeah. They're at Campsfield, Hatchville.
Too easy, isn't it?
I had a HX Holden that my parents bought me as a first car. Had put triple SUs on, all that sort of stuff, just become unreliable, so I thought I'd grow up at 18 years old, which was weird. Well, 17 actually, 17. And thought I'll get rid of that. Bought this stock standard beige SE Sigma from a car yard in Parramatta, and I was working in servos at the time and put some 4-spoke dragways on it, and looked all right, and started towing, and didn't really need the car anymore, so I thought I might just put a little bit of money. I was making good money like back then, and just started to paint it just standard black, and just sort of went from there.
And then once it was painted, you sort of decided to switch motors out?
Yeah, it got painted black by an employer I was working for, and I changed from 4-spoke dragways to pro dragways, only 14-inch, thinking wouldn't be stupid and put massive 15s on it. Now we've got 22s on everything. And then I ended up putting a Weber on it, one Weber, thinking I'll save fuel, but actually used to burn out the spark plugs, so it was always crap. And then a friend of mine had a 12A in a Gemini panel van, and took me for a drive, and I had Gilmers, which sounded unreal. I was just sort of thought, like, such a small motor, so much power and just so much rev, I was still only 17 years old, 18 years old, and thought, like, that'd be good, So thought I'd go one better, went 12A turbo. It was really, really good for what it was. Thought that's all I'll need to get used to that power. And yeah, we built a Series 6, but it wasn't ready for that. So it was just a stock standard Series 4 for that day, which was pretty bad, like depressing, whatever, but still got the vision of it. Went up to 250 degrees. I still got to drive it home all the way to Windsor, so I can't wreck it too much. As everyone knows, it got stolen. So.
Yeah, so can we go through that a little bit as well? So tell us about the, because I get every time I post anything about Towie, it's like, what happened?
Yeah. You know, like everyone will sort of know what it's like in the modified car industry, and you don't really give a damn about anyone else's car that's in the workshop. You just want your car fixed, and it was there for a long time, and so I'm just sick of this car. I'm just going to get rid of it, you know. Anyway, I just had a guy call just out of the blue, said, I heard you might be wanting to sell your car. Gone, you know, like, nah, I was only sort of just bullcrapping, you know. I've had it for too long. I think I had it for it'd be like 15 years or something like that, you know. Anyway, he offered a stupid amount of money, and you know, I was just thought to myself, I spoke to a couple of mates. One mate of mine sort of said, oh, good, you know, like you're going to finally grow up, get away from this 18-year-old's car. He had an SS Camaro, and another mate had a genuine Walkinshaw with a turbo on it. Oh, and here comes me with a Sigma, you know, like, so I didn't realise I looked that embarrassing. So, yeah, spoke to other people. They said, yeah, too good to be true, just grab it, you know. And met the guy once, and went for a drive. He kept on saying, oh, let me have a drive. I said, no, you're not going to drive it. I told you, don't stuff me around, just pay me the money, get it done quick, and I won't change my mind. Anyway, I said, mate, don't worry about it. Dropped him off. A couple of days later, he rang me up and he said he was in the bank getting a bank check. Sorry for stuffing you around. And meet me at my place. So I towed it out to his house on a truck I was driving for a company, and dropped it off, and they checked it over and had some big muscly bloke with him. So probably later on you realise just to take care of me if I bunged it on. I actually had a shoebox full of every receipt that I ever kept in the car. And I said, they're all mates, so if you ever have a problem, just go see them, they know the car and that. Walked away to the front of the truck, and then I just heard the wastegate open, wide open, back away from the truck. And at first I just thought, oh, he's revving it for shits and giggles, you know. And then I saw it go past the tray with the back of it on fire. Like, and I still remember this day thinking to myself later on, that was the best I ever saw it look. Like, I never used to let anyone drive it, and it looked awesome, and I'd polished it that night thinking I'm never going to see it again. And I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. And I just remember, like, vision. I can still see it thinking about it right now, because it was sort of purpley blue, all different micas in it, but very subtle, but the sun was on it coming that way, and I just went, it's not happening. And in my head I'm going, they're just going for a test drive or something. Like, give me all these stupid things, he'll stop. So I'm trying to put the old tray back down on the truck to chase it, and which was a 4-cylinder little canter. And yeah, I got in the truck and I thought, oh, tracker. So I rang Quick Track, who's no longer around anymore, and told him turn the motor off because it's all hooked up to the coils and all that sort of stuff. And the rigmarole, he said, oh, you got to call the police and you got to get an event number before we can do anything. And I said, I started abusing him, threatening him, and I turned the corner on the street it was on, and it was like an old Western movie. There was not a car on the road, and probably just because of my focus, you know. And back then it had all dirt driveways, so it didn't go in any of the houses, and I come up to an intersection that you could see all the way around, and it just honestly disappeared, you know. And that was it. Never saw it ever again.
Never again. And like to think they just pulled that apart and just sold the brakes, sold bits and pieces of such a beautiful car. Like,
you know, it had the Corona 4-speed, which was like just built like you wouldn't believe. The 9-inch was shortened, had 511 gears, and I sort of told everybody, you know what I mean? Everyone sort of knew, and in magazines and that, and had the 330mm front brakes with Corvette calipers. It had VL rears. They're all cross-drilled and slotted, and all the stainless, you know, stuff, and the big turbo and the motor, and you know, the Recaro seats that fit in anything. You know, they were Sigma, actual turbo Sigma ones, but just all them bits. The teardrop mirrors, you know, they were genuine GT teardrop mirrors. There was just stuff, and I didn't do what a lot of people can do, just shell out money like it's coming out of me everywhere. I actually got bank loans, and pretty much for what they offered, I was paying it all off. So I didn't have it anymore, and plus it breaking down or blowing up or whatever. Just thought I'll just wipe it, and but it never happened that way.
Nah, no, good. Let's move on to
happier times.
Happier times, yeah. Tell me about being in the towing industry. How's that been?
That's been good, yeah. I had a few jobs starting out, like just pretty much anything. I worked for Jack's Tyres, I worked for Shell, and it was just jobs, just done them, like just a job. But there's a Shell service station at Wentworthville that's closed down now. But it was just a real, almost like a kind of Harry's Cafe to Wheels, but like no Facebook, so people just lob up and then they'd see someone and pull over, and a lot of people used to hang out, but there was one particular towing company that used to come in there and had an account, and they had the V8 tow trucks, and the pranger go off and they take off. It was like midnight spares, and I'd sort of be in the servo as a 17-year-old and just looking at it and go, oh man, to drive a V8 around and thinking, drive like an idiot and not get pulled over by the coppers thinking they're allowed to do that. Like, that'd be the job. And I said to one of the guys once, what about if I was to work weekends or something like that, get me a licence? And I did work weekends. And back then, I'll never forget, I was getting $170 a week, this is 87, $170 a week to do the 11 till 7 shift. So $170 might get shot up. I worked the weekend at this towing company, and I made $330 for the weekend, so from Friday night to Sunday night. And I handed the keys back to the boss and said, no, thanks, it was great. I said, can I work next weekend? And he goes, you can work full time if you want. And he just threw back the keys. He goes, well, let me know when you finish at the servo, and I'll put you on. So I went back in the truck on the Monday night to work. The boss was there. He got all pissed off because I was in a tow truck and leaving. He said, piss off now. No worries. Okay. So, 1987 till now.
Now. And when did you start your own business?
2001. I met my girlfriend at the time, in 2001. Within a year we were married, but November 17th, 2001, we bought an old F350 tow truck and just thought, just to make a living. As long as I make a wage, I'll be right. But every company in Penrith supported me. Ross Sinclair, who I worked for before, and he sold the dealerships, supported me as well, said that, Ford and Hyundai will be using you. At the time, he owned the P Motor Group too, so just that alone would have been enough to make a wage, but everyone supported us, and went from buying a tilt tray after that, then another tilt tray, and we're up to our 9th one now. So it's just the support. Penrith still like that country. Everybody sort of knows you wave at people driving around and all that sort of stuff. So it's been good like that.
Give me the top 5 most interesting cars you've towed.
We have the privilege of doing nearly every one of them. McLaren, Lamborghini, Ferrari, roadside assistance, because a lot of them don't have spare tyres, so we tow them for flat tyres and stuff.
And I'm surprised you didn't say the coolest car you've ever towed was a 1979 Gemini station wagon. That was...
it tried to kill itself. And our good friends at Shannon's called me to come and get that for you.
That worked out beautifully, didn't it? Just happened that way. Like Shannon's organised the tow, and then Towie turns up.
I remember the name come up too, and I go, I know that name from somewhere. Yeah. And then you sent me the photo of it on the truck.
I see. You're towing me right now. One of the boys has towed.
But like I said, Tesla would probably be my favourite car to move, just because they're sort of set up to assist, so you don't have any issues with what you want. You want to be able to... Every car gets transported from the minute it was built and put onto a truck. That's transportation, so it needs to be hooked up, because it's going to be transported one day. Even if it doesn't break down, it still will need to go to dealerships, all that sort of stuff. And we do a bit of that for, like, Ferrari, take the cars to dealerships, because people couldn't be bothered bringing their own car in. So we bring them in, deliver them back to them, all that sort of stuff. And cars that are hard to tow, like a McLaren, like they've got no tow hooks, no nothing, and it's just the extra stress of it damaging and that sort of stuff. So, but probably Yeah, probably McLaren is just that in-your-face, crazy car, and you'll drive along and you'll think, why is that car sitting beside me there in the blind spot? And you're looking at their phones out,
Taking photos
and driving along and that sort of stuff. But yeah, like some of the Mercedes coming out now, just like the AMGs are awesome. I mean, the cars we're getting nowadays, just Kias are an awesome car now, you know. How can you say that?
Who knew? Yeah.
And then in the old days when I first started, Hyundai was my best customer.
Yeah.
We tow at least 5 a week, and now we probably tow 2 a year.
Because they've dialed it in, they've sort of worked it out.
Yeah. So there's pretty much not even a sort of car like people always say. I thought you were going to say to me, what's the most common car you tow? And there's no common car anymore.
There you go.
You know, like Hondas, we do Honda, we do the dealership work and all that sort of stuff. Can't remember the last Honda. And we've done a few for the airbag recall, like that's every model. So yeah, there's no real common car anymore, even for breakdowns. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say probably McLaren.
It's funny that no one's ever tapped into this, and I might have to give you a call one day soon. If not car sales, but if one of those car review joints is watching, you need to talk to guys like Danny, because they're at street level. You're actually on the ground. Like, I always watch these shows and they review cars, but you go, yeah, but how's it 6 months later? Is it reliable? Is it, you know, like...
And they don't know. They release the car to the public that's had no problems in their testing. But the real testing is people that can't drive. You know, they have people that drive the cars that are race car drivers or stunt drivers and all that sort of stuff. But what about the old grandma that, you know, drives in the driveway and just sticks it into reverse while she's still rolling forward and all that sort of stuff? And we get to see all the bad stuff. You know, we get to go to the prangs, how they happen, where the real blind spots are in real driving. I remember when the first GL Mercedes come out, and I drove it onto the, it was the new X6 BMW, and I drove it onto the truck, and I couldn't see where my bars were that you drive up to. Like, the bonnet was just so big. And it wasn't long after that they got the front mounted camera, and I wonder whether that was because that was a common problem that
was the feedback, but they hadn't tested it. You know what I mean? And I think of the guys, I can picture the guys, the corporate Mercedes guys that test the vehicles, and they'd be ex-race car drivers. They don't care whether you can see off the front. They want to know how it performs on a track and off-road. Mate, give it to me, I'll break it for you. You know what I mean?
Well, just things like that, you know. And I think that was maybe the Mercedes was the car that we had a lot of problems with. People coming out of car spots, and like that pole there, they couldn't see the pole. Like maybe a smaller pole was already past their car, so they'd turn the wheel already, and they'd fold the wheel into the guard, and you wouldn't be able to move, sort of thing. So there was that. But the most common thing I think every Towie hates around the world, and they don't change, except for Hyundai. Hyundai have a tow point in the centre. The winch of our trucks are in the centre, and it pulls on straight. We've got a lot of cars, and I won't name names, but their tow hooks are not real strong. They're just alloy, a lot of them, and they're pulling on an angle, and as it gets closer to the truck, the winch ain't moving, and it's pulling the car across, and I've heard of them breaking off and going through houses, cars going through houses. So yeah, if they want to cost them no more, but just on the cross member or something like that, just have a loop, put the hook on, winch it on. They're gonna break down no matter what. Every car is going to be a write-off. Every car is going to end up at a scrapyard.
Eventually, that's right.
You know what I mean? So from the day it's built to put onto a car carrier, to take into a dealership, to have dealership modifications, and you take it to change the leather seats and all that sort of stuff, they're all transported. So why not on the side of the road when a Towie's laying down on the road where there's no speed limits for us, because we're not emergency personnel. Cars are whizzing by us 110 k an hour, and we're screwing in a tow hook, finding it in the boot, trying to get the cover off, screwing it in, putting it on, sitting in the car in case it breaks, winching it up, trying to get out while cars doing 110 passes. It's so much easier from the left-hand side. You better get under the centre,
clip it in,
drive away.
Because you know it's more beautiful. I put that in with those fake exhausts they put on cars now. Just put a tow hook on. Like every car needs a tow hook. Put it on the car. You know what I mean? Make a feature of it.
Like one of the things, I mean, like I told you, I'm a Ford man. No Australian Ford has a rear tow hook. So when they're in a driveway, especially with an independent rear suspension, you have to soft strap both lower control arms to try and get it out of the driveway. And, you know, they'll say, but it'd be fine if they're back in the driveway, but who backs in the driveway? You know, so just a little bit of thought.
Yeah,
good,
yeah, a bit of common sense. Yeah. I hear you.
There's my plug for the towing
Nice,
industry.
I like it. And then, so we're going to go unlimited budget. So I give you a suitcase full of cash. What are we doing to this?
Probably everything else is done, I think, but it's a standard motor, which in the beginning I wanted to keep that because, you know, originality. I've got all the parts we've pulled off, but yeah, probably just build it like a really good engine, you know, because apart from the valve springs, nothing's done to the engine at all. And to be having, you know, 455 kilowatts of the wheels is probably a matter of time before something goes wrong.
So unlimited budget. What's in the dream garage?
A row of every Ford GT.
Which is this is an unlimited budget.
Yeah, just, you know, like all the Brocks, all that sort of stuff. Like I really like everything Australian.
That's it for this episode of Grassroots Garage with Danny's F6X. Danny, thanks for your time, man.
Thank you, appreciate it.